Welcome back, everybody, to ML Art and Design. I want to try to see if I can do a little work in progress videos on the channel to answer some questions, do little reviews of the kits, and just show the steps that are taken, at least by me, as I build and prep the kits, then prime them, and then ultimately showcase the finished product. So what I'm going to do is at the end of the videos, after all the work in progress are done, then I'll shoot a better quality video with a nice camera, to showcase them, the finished work. But for now, I'll use these, quick videos on the phone, and like that I don't have to set up the rig, the lighting, and all of that, so I can do this more frequently and hopefully put more content up on the channel. So I want to kick things off with a fabulous kit here of a Predator. This one is titled Rapido Master, and it's from Narin. Narin can be found online. If you Google Narin Studios or Narin Predator, you're going to come across his work. This guy is renowned for the quality of the sculpts that he does, the tremendous attention to detail, and really just this fabulous presentation that he gives you with the work that he does. This orange colored type of resin is distinctive to him. It's not only just that it's orange in color, but it has this, if you could hear it, it's not a ceramic resin, but it's definitely very strong, and it's not brittle. It sounds like that, but it's really not brittle. It's really nice quality stuff. So just to bring it in, if you can see that his attention to detail is just sick. He doesn't miss anything with these guys, and these are not screen accurate depictions of the Predators. These are like his concept. He comes up with this stuff out of his mind. He just really is on another level, when it comes to this particular designs that he does, and just the execution. All of his pieces are definitely just on another level. They all interlock perfectly. The seam lines are virtually, invisible. He does a lot before he sends these to you so that you can put them together. Some folks just slap them together and run with it. The red that you see is all work that I've done to the pieces to get them up to snuff with the way that I like to build. And we'll go over it. I'll tell you pretty much what it is and what I've done. I just want to show you the quality right now of this kit. He on this spear here, sorry for the blurriness, but he went ahead and installed, you could probably see it there, the green that you see it's a metal rod that's actually in there, and he to make sure that it doesn't warp or that there's no bending of the resin. So like I said, he doesn't play around, man. This guy goes to town. The kits that he does generally have this signature underneath, but as I said, he does sculpt Predators, and I've seen some of his stuff on Predator Store and other sites. He's even doing a quarter scale for one of the big companies now. And so just because it's not this orange resin doesn't necessarily mean that it's not a Narin piece. So just do your homework and double check on everything. Most of the stuff is on his site, and you can look it up there. But overall, his stuff is this orange resin here. So breaking down what the red is. The red is Abe's epoxy scope. It's a two-part epoxy. You can go to Abe's and you'll see it there. I use red, 2 reasons. Number one, it's always for sale. I don't know if it's because it's in their outlet area. I guess nobody really uses it, or it doesn't sell as much. And so I save money there. And I also like to use the red because then I can see what I'm doing. With the gray one, when you're priming and you're sanding, etc., you tend to lose a little bit of it. And sometimes, is hard to find, or if you do a lot of work in certain areas, you might miss a little spot, and then you prime it and you see it underneath the primer. You got to go back, sand, whatever, etc. With the red, it pops, so I can see all my areas, and I know exactly where I did it. Once I start to do my primer and I sand, and then I start to see the red, then I know where I'm at. So you see a lot of red in the on the piece. At the same time, like I said, when Narin puts his pieces together, or when you put the pieces together, there seems, you know, everything is mint. Like, he's really good, but I'm a really stickler for gaps. I don't like any gaps. I don't like seams. I don't like little pinholes. So I'm constantly looking and filling in areas. So I put in the legs. These two legs are the only thing on the kit that's permanently attached. I did magnets on everything. Here, I'm gonna be in the future video showing how I pin, but there's a pin going in through the leg and into the you know, the shin area here, these pieces, and then there's glue, and then there's Aves epoxy scoped as well. So what we have here is whatever little gap would have been, I put Aves in there, and then I used not water, I used safety solvent, which is also from Aves. This safety solvent is a different composition than water. The Aves, like, sucks in the water, and then in time it looks like it's kind of like chipped or crackled. With that, it's just like a smooth. It gives it more of a work time, and at the same time smooths things out. So this is permanently attached to this area, and then in here I drilled out and I put a nice thick rod. Okay, filled in the hole halfway with glue, and the glue that I use is not crazy glue, but good old Gorilla Glue. And in order to make it accelerate and kick in quicker, I use this from Maplewood Hobbies. All right, so go ahead, drill your hole, and then you hold this. You know, you put in the glue, you hold it more or less as centered as possible, and hit it with the zip, and it's gonna dry ASAP. Then once that's dry, you know, I go ahead and I fill in the hole with the remainder of the hole with Aves epoxy scoped, and I let that dry. Let that sit, let that harden. Next day, I come, take another bead of Aves epoxy scoped all around, and then put some saran wrap to make sure that the torso part here is not making contact. I put more safety solvent. I glaze this with safety solvent. Then I come here and then I drill the hole bigger, obviously, stuff the Aves epoxy scoped in, and some safety solvent as well. And then you start doing the process of pushing this in until that it's flush. As you're going up and down, do a little bit at a time, and the Aves is gonna start to push out. And just take an X-Acto and cut it. It's not gonna be the prettiest thing now, but you work it out later. So once you get this flush all the way, then whatever spilled over, you can take a little X-Acto, cut it off, or any type of tool, and then, you know, rework it. Just work your area, and then make sure you take this off. If you leave this on and Aves makes contact with the torso, it's gonna be on there. So you have to, this stuff, once it cures hard. So you want to make sure that what you do is you get your forms on, and everything is perfectly how it's supposed to be, and then you're gonna go ahead and you know, take it off, and then let it rest and do its thing. And then you come back with sandpaper and your tools, and you just work the area. But as you can see, there would have been a nice gap there, and that's what I didn't want. So I like my nice fit, everything flush. Let me see if this can focus. Maybe I'm too close, but I like my stuff, you know, just like that all around. All right, so moving on to this, what we did here was I drilled out 2 little holes, and I put in 2 tiny magnets, and then I put the A's over it. And once it was hardening, then I took a little tool and I scored the little lines in there to mimic what Narin did with the with his head sculpt. Then what you see, how you say, oh, but why is this like gray in there? Because as I said, I'm not used to doing this, so I went ahead and I sprayed some primer on and I was ready to go, and I'm like, damn, I forgot I got to do the work in progress. So I took it off just for the channel, just so I can go over it. Because once I primed it, you didn't see them anymore, those 2 little red spots. So what we do is, I wanted to do that for the simple reason of being able to display him with or without the biomask on. So now, once this on, you know, you got a nice little display. And like I said, you got that little, you see the little clank? That's that Narin clank. So yeah, it's a nice you know, option to have if you want to be able to display them with or without the mask on. So that's that. On the back, you will see, well, let's start here. Anyways, let's continue here. So the female, as you can see, it adjusted perfectly to what is the waist area there. And then I have magnets in either arm and more A's because I don't like to see any type of gapping. On the back, 3 magnets because there's 3 pieces of an extension of this cape which come down fairly long, and I didn't want to put those in permanently. Any type of friction, they would snap off, and that would be a problem. Here, this came broken, so you know, we had to take care of this by inserting a rod here. I drilled out a nice area, put a rod there. There's another rod inside. There's glue, and then there's the epoxy scope going all the way around, and everything is pretty much smooth as it can be. And then once it's primed, you won't even notice any of that stuff there. You know, as you can see, there's a little scrapes and there's a lot of sanding that is done, because in my experience, you know, and this varies from kit to kit, and I'm not gonna say that every kit is the same amount of work, but every kit needs work. You know, I hear people, oh, you know, oh, this kit, I just got it, I put it together, it was great, I didn't have to do anything. You know, I don't know. Every kit, as far as I've experienced, from the 3D stuff to Mr. Narin himself, everything needs work one way or another if you want to have optimal result with what is your work. I like my work to be as perfect as possible. You see there, like sanding inside, and look at the nail, that finger area. I mean, I had to do some epoxying there, and you know, some putty work, etc. So it is work. So you have one arm there and another arm here. This is a magnet here to go in there, and then there's another magnet there. However, I did not do a magnet here. This little whatchamacallit, key is too small. Like, the magnet would have been the size of the head of that little rod, and with the weight of this, you know, and the nails, I was afraid that, you know, a little magnet with any little you know, you don't want it to fall. So what we have is the rod making contact, and it's perfect. And then ultimately, you know, once this goes into here, you know, he's starting to take shape. Then what we have is the capes. So I'm going to take this apart real quick just to put that on. The capes, on the back, there is a little bit of a curvature. So this magnet is a little bit more out. It's actually 2 magnets stacked and stuck together, and then Aves around it. The reason being so that it would make contact with this magnet here. So once, you know, boom, you got that. You got this one here and this one here. So just make sure that everything is how it's supposed to be. It's nice and snug. And once you do so, you know, he's gonna be badass as soon as he's done. All right, so we'll conclude this video here, showing this progress, which was, you know, the breakdown, the magnets, and the the Aves epoxy, and the next one will come in and we'll show, you know, I'm probably gonna prime them up and then start to do some maybe speed videos of the paint process and see how I can get this going as best as I can. All right, guys, so thanks for tuning in. Always coming back to the channel. I really do appreciate it. If you have any comments or maybe I missed something, don't hesitate to leave comments below or hit me up and let me know what you want to see. And I'll try to see if I can get that done for you guys, all right? So until next time, guys, thanks for watching.